What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have how the Netherlands feeds the world. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and that's caught my attention.
This is the Netherlands. Despite its tiny size, they're the world's third largest agricultural exporter, behind only the US and Brazil.
That's literally insane when you think about the sizes of the US and Brazil, and you think about the size of the Netherlands. Like, there's so many other countries that are so much bigger than the Netherlands, and the fact that they're the third largest exporter.
Countries that have over 200 times more landmass.
That's insane.
This is because over 20 years ago, the country rallied around a slogan: produce twice as much food using half as many resources.
Ooh.
And the results have been staggering. The Netherlands account for just 1% of all EU farmland, but it produces 6% of Europe's food. Dutch farms now grow more than 1.5 million tons of onions every year. 92% of that is exported. They harvest nearly 1 million tons of tomatoes annually and export $2 billion worth of them. Potato yields surpass 20 tons per acre, more than double the global average of 9. A potato farmer in the Netherlands will harvest almost twice as many potatoes per acre as a farmer in India, and 3 times as much wheat as a farmer in Brazil. In total, the Netherlands exported $150 billion worth of food in 2024.
So I gotta assume the farmers in the Netherlands are living a high life, bro. Like, y'all got to be living a good life because y'all are exporting like crazy. It's got to be a good life.
So how is this even possible? Well, more than half of the Netherlands is agricultural land, and on top of that, much of the country's food is actually grown indoors. Nearly 24,000 acres of crops are grown under glass, an area nearly twice the size of Manhattan. These greenhouses operate year-round and use 90% less water and 97% fewer pesticides than traditional fields. What's crazy is that 1 acre of Dutch greenhouse farming produces the same yield as 10 acres of conventional land. In terms of water, Dutch farms use only half a gallon of water to grow a pound of tomatoes. In China, that same pound requires 34 gallons, and the global average is more than 28. Production efficiency in the Netherlands simply far exceeds that of any other country. The country's gains are driven by automation and data. Precision agriculture is the standard. Drones and sensors monitor plant health, track soil moisture, and optimize nutrient delivery per plant. On livestock farms, robotic milking systems and automated feed units are common. The result is a system that produces more, wastes less, and uses less land, water, and labor than almost any other country in the world. But this efficiency didn't come out of nowhere. It's directly a cause of what happened in World War II.
That is freaking insanity, bro. They're using so much less than the rest of the world when it comes to farming practices, yet they are literally growing so much more. That's the Dutch, bro. Like, the Dutch never freaking fail to amaze me. Pound of tomatoes, China's using 34 gallons. Global average is about 28 gallons. Netherlands is using half of a gallon. Come on, dude. That's
See,
insane.
in the winter of 1944 to 1945, Dutch railway workers went on strike to support Operation Market Garden, an allied plan to push into the Netherlands and secure a bridgehead across the Rhine River into Germany. While some cities like Eindhoven and Nijmegen were liberated, the operation wasn't a complete success, and the Western Netherlands, home to the country's largest population centers, remained under German control. In retaliation for the strike, a German blockade cut off food and fuel shipments to the region, beginning a famine. Then came a brutally cold winter on top of that. City dwellers walked for days in freezing weather to trade valuables for potatoes. Others survived on tulip bulbs and sugar beets. Rations dropped to 580 calories per day. The event became known
580 calories a day. I eat more than that in a meal, and I eat 3 meals a day. Like, when I think of people like suffering like this, like, it genuinely, like, disturbs me, like, because I don't understand how you can survive on that, bro. Like, and it makes me feel absolutely terrible.
Known as the
Oh,
Hunger Winter.
right.
By the end of it, over 22,000 people had died in the region. The scale of the crisis totally reshaped Dutch policy. After the war, the government made food security a national priority.
Yeah.
It encouraged intensification, mechanization, and specialization in agriculture. Farmers received subsidies to invest in modern equipment and expand production. Education and research were coordinated around new techniques and higher yields. Cooperative networks were strengthened to stabilize supply chains and pricing. Between 1950 and 1980, agricultural output increased by over 60%, even as total farmland shrank due to urbanization driven by rapid post-war population growth. Fertilizer use tripled, milk yields doubled, poultry farming became fully industrialized. In the same period, universities partnered with the state to build out applied agricultural science programs.
Oh,
The crown jewel of the Netherlands' agricultural education is Wageningen University and Research.
bro, the
Located
Netherlands is freaking lit, bro. They not. Y'all, every time y'all face a crisis or circumstance, bro, y'all just, when you think about all the battles that y'all had with the water and you figure it out every single time, and now, like, the water ain't effing with y'all at the moment, because that's what y'all do. You run into this food crisis, this famine crisis. All right, you know what? Priority right now, food. We're going to make sure we never have to run into a situation like that again. So we need to figure out how to do it as efficiently as humanly possible, using as little resources as humanly possible, but get as much food as humanly possible. And they do it. Like, it's just amazing. The Dutch are literally, like, admirable.
in the town of Wageningen, it's widely recognized as the world's top institution for agricultural science, ahead of major institutions in the US and China. The region surrounding it is known as Food Valley, which is basically the agricultural version of Silicon Valley, because of the network of over 1,500 agri-food companies, labs, and startups clustered around the university. 15 of the world's 20 largest agri-food companies have R&D centers in the Netherlands, from Coca-Cola to Nestlé to Cargill and more. Most are located within 50 kilometers of Wageningen. Some operate joint research labs. Others contract with university teams to test new models in crop science or food safety. Nearly every part of the food system, seeds, cold storage, packaging, logistics, automation, is represented within a short drive. But this is only half of it. See, there's not only Food Valley, but there's also Seed Valley as well, though this one's located in the province of North Holland, between Enkhuizen and Warmenhuizen. It houses many of the world's top seed companies, including Enzezaden, Incotec, and Rake-Swan. These firms are focused on developing higher yield, climate-resilient seed varieties. In one example, Enzezaden used molecular marker technology to breed a tomato resistant to something called the tomato brown rugose fruit virus, which has devastated crops globally. A process that once took a decade now takes half of that. The scale of Seed Valley is global. They supply more than 1,200 vegetable varieties to over 100 countries. Every day, an estimated 2.5 billion people eat vegetables grown from Dutch-developed seeds.
2.5, that's what? Like 1/3 of the population in the entire world? Close to it? Eat vegetables grown from Dutch-developed seeds every day. That's bonkers, bro.
This has allowed a country of under 18 million people to shape global agriculture far beyond its borders. Lastly, there's the geography of the Netherlands itself, which makes it uniquely suited for agriculture.
For sure.
The country is remarkably flat and low-lying, with much of its farmland located on its famously reclaimed land known as polders, areas once underwater. As these lands were drained, the salt was gradually washed out by rainfall and river inflow, leaving behind fertile, nutrient-rich delta soil. Since this land had no natural vegetation or competing ecosystems, it became blank slate farmland, perfect for intensive agriculture. In effect, the Dutch didn't just find good farmland, they engineered it. But to be fair, there's another half of the equation as for why the Netherlands exports so much agriculture abroad. And that's because of the Rotterdam port. Now, this is the main port of not just the Netherlands, but all of Europe. By far, too. For most things that go to Europe, they come through Rotterdam first. What this means is that their exporting numbers are actually inflated, because almost half of what is exported from there was imported beforehand.
Okay.
For example, they're the world's leading importer of cacao beans
Gotcha.
at 20 to 25% of the global.
But that genuinely, I guess, makes sense because, like, you got to grow. Like you need all the resources to grow everything. So I guess, but you got to get those resources from other countries. I mean, at growing at the Netherlands rate, you'd have to import so much to be able to grow.
Market. But they only actually keep some of it while the rest is re-exported to countries like France and Germany.
Oh,
Speaking of the
wow.
stat inflation,
Oh, they
there's
don't even-
actually more to it, kind of. While they're
They don't even growing them with it. They just basically taking it and selling it to somebody. We're gonna buy it from y'all and we're gonna sell it here. Yeah. So it might be inflated a little bit, but still, at the numbers.
the second largest agricultural exporter in the world, this is technically by value rather than volume. If we're to look at what the Netherlands exports the most, this horticulture actually represents comparatively small amounts of high-value goods like flowers and live plants, especially tulips, which they're famous for. All this isn't to take anything away from the Netherlands, because they're still undoubtedly extremely efficient.
Yeah.
Now, there is a downside to all this, of course. At the end of the day, you can't feed the whole world with record-breaking efficiency without environmental costs. Even though the Dutch now use 90% less water and 95% fewer pesticides than traditional open-field farming methods found in most countries, they still emit massive amounts of CO2 due to the extremely dense farming system. The Netherlands also has...
That's crazy to think about because the Netherlands, when you think of it, bro, the bikes are a major way to get around in the Netherlands. So you got less cars on the road than most other places. And all this farm, even though they use so little, it feels like they take so little from the environment to be able to do all this. It's still so big of a cost.
one of the highest livestock densities in all of Europe, if not the most. They have almost 4 million cattle, 10 million pigs, and an insane 100 million chickens. This many animals, especially pigs and cows, leads to excess nitrogen runoff into soil and water systems, contributing to soil acidification, biodiversity loss, and water pollution. Now, this is from 2017, so it is quite a bit old unfortunately, since I couldn't find newer data, but the Netherlands by far emits more nitrogen compounds per hectare than any other country in the EU by quite a bit, and almost 4 times more than the EU average. It's so severe that it was even declared a crisis in 2019, when the highest Dutch administrative court ruled that the existing emission policy violated Dutch law and European regulations. In some ways, this is merely the successor to the acid rain problem of the 1980s. But even after decades, over 50% of Dutch soil and water bodies still exceed safe nitrogen levels. What this nitrogen issue has led to is intense political protests. You may have heard of the Dutch farmers' protests, and this is exactly what it was about. Given it was labeled a crisis, the courts ordered the government to stop issuing permits for nitrogen-emitting projects until it came up with a plan to cut emissions fast. So overnight, 18,000 construction projects, including critical infrastructure and housing development, were suspended until a new strategy could be made. With the economy at risk, Dutch lawmakers seemingly suggested the unthinkable: cut the nation's livestock herd by half by 2030. Naturally, this enraged farmers, to put it lightly. They had already reduced their nitrogen emissions by almost 2/3 since 1990, mainly through technological advances. Over the same period, government services in rural areas had been cut in favor of investment in cities. And for more than half a century, government policies had encouraged farms to expand. Now they were being told to do the opposite. Thousands of farmers took to the streets in protest because of this, blocking highways with their tractors and descending on The Hague, where they staged protests. Upside-down Dutch flags, the de facto symbol of the protest movement, were flown as a war banner from homes. Piles of manure and hay were set on fire. On October 1st, 2019, from Amsterdam to Eindhoven, Rotterdam to Roermond, More than 2,000 tractors lumbered along clogged highways,
That's
making it the busiest morning rush in the history of the Netherlands.
I'd be so heated if I was stuck behind him by every tractor, bro. But the farmers were there to send a message like, you told us to grow more, you told us to do all this, and so we expanded. Expanding costs money. You know what I'm saying? We spent all that money to expand. Now you're telling us to cut our grow cut everything in half, and we've already cut nitrogen emissions by 2/3 than what it was. We're already doing so much, and now you want us to cut basically our farms by half. If you're taking half of the herd, like now we got all these costs, and you want us to have half the inventory to sell and to heal. I'd be enraged too. I'd be enraged
These protests,
too.
albeit smaller, are still going on today. Even a political party was created from the farmers' protests, the Farmer Citizen Movement. And it's not some fringe group either. In the 2023 Senate elections, they won the most seats, while they came 6th in a parliament of 17 parties. We don't have to go too in-depth on this, but it's both a political and environmental issue that is still huge. So what's being done? Well, originally, like I said, the goal was to halve their nitrogen emissions by 2030, as set by the courts. But the Dutch government has said it'd push back this deadline to 2035, defying orders.
Yeah.
To meet climate and conservation goals, this will have to change. How they intend to do this is with a new €2.2 billion starter package to encourage farmers near vulnerable nature sites to downsize, relocate, or invest in cleaner technologies.
Okay.
The package covers voluntary buyouts for livestock farmers,
Okay.
including €750 million for those who choose to shut down and €627 million for dairy producers who scale back. Another €100 million is set aside for nature restoration. Despite all this, the Netherlands won't lose its position as an agricultural and food superpower in the world. There's just too much reliance on them. There's another, even grander problem on the horizon for the agriculture industry. To put it apocalyptically, the planet must produce more food in the next 4 decades than all farmers in history have harvested over the past 8,000 years, while doing it sustainably. And there's no doubt the Dutch will be at the front of this challenge.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you in the next one.
See, and that's lit. Shout out to the Dutch, man. You guys are just truly, truly incredible. Like, I can't understand it. But thankfully, okay, the government saying, hey, like, if you do this, like, we are going to pay you. Like, we ain't just going to leave you stranded. And so there is that money there. Y'all talk to me in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about it. I guess the world is constantly changing, and we're starting to notice things that are affecting the world in a negative way. And I think the Netherlands is doing a great job to try and reduce the impact that the Netherlands has on the rest of the world. The US need to take notes, but yeah, it's just I think as humanity we'll figure it out. I don't think we've run into an issue that we haven't found a way to overcome. So I think with all the brains and minds and technology and geniusness of humanity, we'll figure out a way to sustain ourselves. That's all we've got. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, check out the next. I'll see y'all next time.